All right, let's just jump right in. I want you to picture something. It's January 2026. In the dead of night, U.S. Special Forces descend on the home of a sitting president, capture him, and fly him back to the United States. I know, it sounds like something straight out of a Hollywood movie, but a recent analysis lays out exactly how a scenario like this could unfold. So today, we're going to break down this absolutely stunning hypothetical operation and ask a very simple question. Why?
Now, right off the bat, it is absolutely crucial to understand this. Everything we're about to walk through is a fictional scenario. It's a what-if, based entirely on the source material's analysis. This is not a news report. It's an exploration of a potential crisis, and that's it.
So, this hypothetical mission? It's even got a name that sounds like it was ripped from an action film. Operation Absolute Resolve. And trust me, the details are every bit of cinematic.
So, how does it all go down? Well, first, stealth helicopters fly just 100 feet above the ocean, totally invisible to radar. Then, boom, a cyber attack plunges the entire capital city of Caracas into a total blackout. Under the cover of that darkness, elite Delta Force commandos storm President Maduro's residence. The whole thing is over in less than 5 minutes. Maduro is captured and whisked away, just like that.
And this is where it gets really surreal. The source includes a hypothetical quote imagining a President Trump watching the whole raid live from a command center, saying, "I watched it literally like I was watching a TV show." I mean, that perfectly captures the strange, almost detached nature of this imagined event, where modern warfare starts to feel a lot like primetime entertainment.
So you can imagine, the world wakes up to this shocking news. And as this whole scenario unfolds, two massive questions are just hanging in the air. First, what could possibly justify such an incredibly brazen act, kidnapping the leader of a sovereign nation? And second, if something like this can actually happen, what does it mean for the rules that are supposed to govern the entire world? Does might simply make right?
Okay, so what's the official story? The one they're telling the public? Well, as presented in this scenario, it's a familiar one. It's all about fighting the war on drugs.
The official story, as it's laid out here, would be a legal one. See, the U.S. would frame this not as an act of war, but as a law enforcement operation. The charges against Maduro would be incredibly severe: narco-terrorism, conspiracy to import cocaine, illegal weapons. The whole idea is to paint a crystal-clear picture of a nation simply taking action against a legally indicted drug trafficker. But here's where the analysis pushes us to look a little closer. You have to ask, right? Is Venezuela really the kingpin of cocaine trafficking into the U.S.? Let's take a look at what the numbers in this analysis actually suggest. Yeah, the data here tells a completely different story. While the official line focuses on the 200 to 250 metric tons of cocaine coming from Venezuela, the material points to a country like Guatemala, which exports nearly 6 times that amount. This massive discrepancy really begs the question: if this was truly about stopping the flow of drugs, why wouldn't you go after the biggest source? And that very question leads us directly to the alternative explanation offered in the source material. The real reason, it argues, isn't about white powder at all. It's about black gold, oil.
Just look at this. This chart puts it all into perspective. Venezuela is sitting on the largest proven crude oil reserves in the entire world, over 300 billion barrels. That's more than Saudi Arabia, more than the United States. It is an almost unimaginable amount of wealth and power, just sitting there.
You know, the relationship between the U.S. and Venezuelan oil has a long and, well, let's just say it's a complicated history. For decades, American companies were all over it, but things changed, and they changed dramatically. In 2001, when President Hugo Chavez nationalized the industry, basically kicking out foreign companies. Years of U.S. sanctions and escalating tensions followed right after that. And the analysis drives this point home with another really powerful hypothetical quote. By framing Venezuela's decision to control its own oil as a theft from America, the true motive just snaps into focus. In this scenario, the operation was never really about drugs. It was about reclaiming control over those absolutely vast oil reserves. But the fallout from an operation like this goes way beyond just the motive. According to the analysis, it would represent a fundamental break with established law, both at home and on the world stage. It would just shred the rulebook. Domestically, you've got the U.S. Constitution, which requires approval from Congress to declare war, something this covert op would completely bypass. And then, on the world stage, you have Article 2.4 of the UN Charter. I mean, this is foundational stuff. It explicitly forbids using force against another nation's sovereignty. An operation like this would be a flagrant violation of both. And you can bet the backlash would be immediate and global. The scenario presented here anticipates that nations from Latin America to Europe, along with global powers like China and Russia, would all unite in condemnation. The United Nations itself would have to declare the action a clear violation of its charter.
And this brings us to the ultimate takeaway from this whole analysis. An event like this isn't just about one country or one leader. No, it's about the precedent it would set for the entire world.
The analysis uses a powerful term to describe this kind of action: New Age colonialism. And the playbook is pretty simple and brutal. A powerful country uses its military might to invade a weaker one, not to plant a flag, but to seize control of its valuable natural resources.
And that's the real danger. It would signal to the rest of the world that international law is optional, that the rules-based order we've all been living under for decades is little more than a suggestion, one that can be easily tossed aside by any nation powerful enough to do so. Which leaves us with a final, and honestly, pretty chilling question to think about. In a world where the most powerful players on the stage feel they can act without any real consequences, what comes next? What happens to the rest of us when the rules that provide stability and prevent